Good morning, Micah 7:7. Today I am bringing you in my kitchen and we're going to be making chocolate chip cookies together. Now I know this is unusual, but I thought we would have fun with our three-part series on separation. So today begins the intro to separation. So Mecca took us through prayer, and these are the seven steps to move from surviving to thriving. And she shared some incredible thoughts on prayer and prayer warfare. And so today we're moving into separation, because this is what happens when God fills you with His Spirit. We just don't fit into the world. The Bible says, be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. So for the next 3 days, we're going to be talking about being separate in our mind, our body, our spirit. But right now I want to give you a demonstration of what true separation looks like, and this was a lot of fun. In the book Living Among Lions, he tells about being a chocolate chip in the cookie dough culture. Let's start with the flour. We're going to mix our flour. And for those of you that are that you are on the Daniel fast, I do apologize for this. We know that we don't truly mix flour first. If you're a cookie maker, you know that the eggs and the sugar and the butter goes first, right? But I learned a secret. And Martha will not agree with me on this. I'm sorry, Martha Chernikowski, the ultimate cookie dough maker. She is the ultimate cookie maker. I kind of cheat a little bit. I know, I'm just grieving her spirit right now as I'm mixing it all. I just like to put it all in there. So I mix all this together, and you know, it all kind of comes out the same. To me, it does. So let's get this mixer in here. Notice the one thing we do not mix in this thing of batter is the chocolate chips. They go in last. So we're gonna get this mixed up really good here. You can see it all just it's chunky looking. Okay, so we've got it mixed up really well. It's just a big brown glob. And it's interesting in the book Living with Lions how he talks about when you put the butter and the flour and the sugar and the eggs and the vanilla, all these things together, you really can't tell what is the butter. You can't tell what is the sugar, because it's all just blended together. And that is so much how our culture is, and how worldliness and the things of the world, it all just kind of blends together in a big pot. Everything's acceptable. Live like you want to. It's okay. You don't have to stand out. Just go with the flow, right? So once you put the chocolate chips in, and it's interesting with the chocolate chips because they have this cute little Hershey Kisses look to them. They maintain their form. They don't lose their form. So I'm going to move, there it goes. I'm going to move from this hand mixer to mixing it with my spoon. We're going to take this off and get some of that extra batter off. Somebody will lick that, I'm sure. So you can see that I'm mixing it in the cookie dough, all these chocolate chips, but they're not blending in. They're mixed in, but they're not blending in. And this is where separation comes in for us as a church. God didn't call us to isolation. He called us to separation. And separation begins in the heart, and we will cover that tomorrow. But today I want you to see what separation looks like, all right? If you look at these chocolate chip cookies, it doesn't matter how much I'm blending them or mixing them, they're not changing their form, okay? It doesn't matter even if I were to get the mixer and just hand mix it, they are not changing shape. They are they're steadfast, they're unmovable, they're always abounding in that cookie, right? Okay, I'm going to reach over here and we're going to bake these pretty little things. So even in transition, even when life changes and we go through the fire and we have to deal with hard times, we have to deal with loss or whatever, we still, these little chocolate chips, they still maintain their size and their shape. They just don't change. We're fixing to put them in a hot oven, and guess what? They're still going to be mixed but not blended. And I've always said this, if we act like the world, if we talk like the world, if we look like the world, then what are we? We're the world. But God calls us to be a chocolate chip in a cookie dough culture. He calls us to stand out, to make a difference in our generation. He didn't call us to be like the world, because the Bible says that we are a royal priesthood and holy nation. We're set apart for His glory and for His honor. The Bible says that this world is not our home. And because of that, we are going to stand out. We should stand out. And we should stand out with a gratefulness that we do not have to be like the world. So we're going to put these cookies in the oven and we're going to test their ability. Okay, just look at this. Look at how this cookie dough is, it's just all conforming together and blending so well. But again, those chocolate chips, they are not changing at all. It reminds me so much of Daniel in Babylon. I believe that we are in a type of Babylon, and God calls us to be like Daniel. He calls us to stand out and to be separate from the world because He wants to be glorified. Our cookies are baking right now, and it's amazing to me how that God will plant us in areas that He wants us to stand out in. And there's the pressure to conform, and it could be, on the job. I know when you're in school, high school or elementary, middle school, whatever, college, there's that peer pressure that you feel, but it's not limited to school. It can be anywhere. It can even be in the church. That pressure to conform, but the truth is, God plants us in these places so that we will stand out, so that we will be separate, so that His glory can be seen in us. And when we choose to be a chocolate chip in a cookie dough culture, then I believe that the sweetness of God's presence is in our lives in a way that they see us and they sense that fragrance, that aroma, that of the Spirit of God, the love of God flowing through us. And that's what changes the world. Many times I have been around people and you could just sense the presence of God in their life, and it was life-changing for me personally. And other times I've been around people and didn't even know what I said. I didn't even try to witness, but they later told me that they sensed God's presence in our conversation. So that's standing out. That is being a Daniel in a Babylon world. Well, we're fixing to get these cookies out of the oven, and we're going to see how that they still maintained their shape and their form even in the heat, even in the oven. All right, so they are all done, and yes, they're tempting me like crazy, but I am not going to eat one. So as you can see, that the chocolate chips are still there. They're still prominent. They are not. They have not blended in with the cookie batter. And unfortunately, I did not have a lot of chocolate chips. I had like a third of a bag to put in there. But it's interesting to me how this goes. A spiritual aspect of this is that when you eat a chocolate chip, you really want more chocolate chips. You want it packed full, don't you? Like when you're eating a cookie, you want it packed full of chocolate chips. And I think that's what the world is looking for. They're looking for somebody that will stand out. So we know that the world that we're living in, when we speak of the world, we're talking about the prince and power of the air, the culture, the principles of and morality or lack of morality of our society, and how important it is. More and more and more, I believe that the children of God need to show the difference to the world. We are called to be salt and light. We are called to be a city set on a hill. We're called to be separate. So I encourage you today, be a chocolate chip in a cookie dough culture. Thank you for joining me. I'll see you tomorrow. Those women are thinking, she's crazy. You don't mix it all together like that. You got to mix pieces at a time. But Sissy and I really figured out that you don't have to do that. You just put it all together. It all blends.